podcast, Picks and Perspective with Chrys Johnson. Palpable paradox.
Oh, there you are. Hello. Good morning.
Hello, my friend. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you great. I can see you wonderfully.
Technology is insane, man. It's insane. How are you, my friend, Chrys?
Oh, I'm doing so good, man, and it's so good to see you face to face because we've been just talking on the phone and I haven't seen your face in a while. So,
Thank you,
are
my
you
friend.
home?
I'm home. I just had a lot of run this weekend. I was playing in Philadelphia with two bands,
Hmm.
Friday and Saturday, and then I had to come back Sunday and just rest. And yesterday was my birthday, and so I'm just having a blast. I'm home, and then a couple of days, next Monday, I have to fly to Texas to meet Paul Simon.
Oh, amazing. Well,
Yeah.
happy belated birthday. I'm sorry I missed your birthday. How young are you?
Huh?
How
How
young are
old?
you?
Well, I mean, like it's hard to lie as a grown up. So I will tell you this, like I just turned 67 yesterday, and I'm so
Congratulations.
grateful.
That's a great age, man. That's a great age.
Yeah,
Why,
it's a
why would you
great
want to lie
age.
about that? That's
Well,
distinguished.
sometimes in this business, you're like, oh no, just because I look good, but the numbers don't lie.
Hey
You
man,
know,
as long as you're looking good and feeling good, forget the numbers. Let's just go. Let's play.
it's all
You know?
that, man. It's all about love, and I'm just so grateful that I reached this destiny. Playing with Paul for so many years. This year is going to be 36 years, and I had no idea when I joined him in South Africa. I thought it was a session, but he ended up giving me a lot of opportunity to learn and just showcase my talent.
That's a long session, 36 years. That's a
It's been a long, for me, I call it as a, college that never ends because I've
mm,
never been to school in South Africa. So once
mm.
I discovered the base and I knew that's my college, it will never end anytime soon. Because I gotta keep learning nonstop.
That's amazing. So can walk us back a little bit and tell us a
Yes.
bit about how did you come in contact with Paul, and was it just simply being hired for a session, and just kind of walk us through a little bit of those early years so that it'll catch us up to understand like why it's such a big deal now.
Yeah, well, first of all, I grew up in a musical family. My uncle played saxophone. And my uncle, he really gave me a green light by watching him playing and, between the struggle that was going on in South Africa. But my uncle and his band during weekends, they'll get together and practice and he'll bring his musicians at my grandmother's house. And man, I was very interested, especially the bass player. I look at him all the time. He was playing like a big double bass and I look at him like, man, this is cool. I want to do that. But I'm like 6, 7 years old, and but I stay with it every Saturday. I look forward for them to come home and practice. And my
Mm.
uncle saw the interest in me, like, wow, he likes it because he's always there. When we're playing, I'm sitting there just listening, and every year it just got better. And then I think by the time I turned 12. My uncle said, "Hey, listen, my bass player he had too much drink, and you think you learned something?" And I said, "Yes, I
Mm.
did." And he got me a smaller bass, and I was making a lot of mess and smiling, and people loved it. Like, wow, this kid is good, but I was playing bad. But then I got very interested, and also growing up in the townships of Soweto, there's a lot of cultures. And those cultures, every weekend, they celebrate their cultures, music, they singing, every street, every block is like, beautiful music, singing and all kinds of stuff. For me, this was a lot of information to know about music, because there was no school back then for me to go to music school. So the best thing was about really listening, and I just listen until the 80s. And 80s now, I was starting to do some recordings with the traditional groups in South Africa. You know, all kinds of groups, they'd show up and say, hey, we want you to play bass. And I played for so many recordings in South Africa, man, like unbelievable. I used to sleep in the studio because they
Whoa.
trusted me, and I was very consistent, you know, and also too I was very respecting the people who hired me for the sessions, and I loved all kinds of music. And then, you know, I go to the township and then I play jazz with jazz musicians, learning Spain and George Benson and all this great music, learning, and then go to the studio and record the traditional. And until like 1985, and one of the tracks end up in Paul's stereo. And he loved that music, and it's like, wait a minute, who are these people? You know, South Africa. Lucky thing, he had a friend in South Africa who was a producer and engineer who knew me because I was a studio guy, you know. And Paul went to South Africa, and when he got to South Africa, he's like, please, I want to get all these musicians, you know. And but at that time, now my mother, she was getting sick, and so the music was not really paying enough for me to get, you know, medicine for my mother. So what I did, and then I just said, hey, look, I'm gonna work as a mechanic for now to help my mother. And I was a mechanic for about a few months until I got a call to say Paul Simon is in town. And my God, man, I was dropping things. I was so nervous, and I thought, oh my God, yeah, I'm going to jail or something. What the hell is going on, you know? Because the Paul Simon English name, when you say the English name to an African guy in South Africa, it doesn't sound good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you don't know, you know, if it was somebody with my, you know, like a Zulu or traditional language, then you're like, oh, what does he want, you know, what's going on? But Paul, you know, I was like, wait a minute. I mean, I don't know anything about the guy. So my boss, a white South African, and he started to sing the songs, and you know, mother and child reunion, slip slide, and for me, it was like, I don't know that. Because in the township, it's all happy music, you know. And the reggae song, and Paul, my boss, said, okay, do you know this song? It's a reggae song, Mother and Child Reunion. And I said, yeah, that's a reggae song. He said, yeah, that guy who's singing that song. And I'm like, oh, he's a Rasta, you know. And the guy says, no, he's not a Rasta. He's an American who lives in Queens, you know, in Jamaica, Queens. First, I'm like, Jamaica, Queens. He should be a Rasta. But he said, no, there's a town called Jamaica, Queens in New York. Oh, okay. My boss, he says, don't ask any more questions. Take your bass, go to the studio. And I had a fretless with, like, you know, greasy hands, and I looked like I just came from a garbage can. And I show up in the studio, no case. I didn't have a case for the bass, but I always had my bass. When I take lunch break, I'll play some things, and you know. And my boss is like, look, I'm gonna give you money for the bus. Don't take a train. The train is crowded, and you got this instrument. Take the bus. And I took the bus. I went to the studio. Never looked back after that. You know, I called my boss. I said, listen, you know, I worked for you for a couple of months, and I never got this paid money. So I think this is where I'm going. And he said, good luck, man. And we played on the Graceland, and the next thing I was on the plane, and I could not believe it. I could not believe it. I mean, as a kid, 8 years old, listening to American music and thinking like, man, I want to go to America. When I see the plane, and I'm like, wow, please, you know, take me. Finally, my prayers was answered, and man, but also too, it didn't end like just show up in the studio and play, but it was a lot of things, you know, like all the nerves. I was nervous, and then, you know, there's record labels in South Africa. They always bring their musicians to the studio because also they want to take an advantage of them. Anytime an American come to South Africa is looking for musicians, the record companies, and me, I didn't sign with anybody, the label. I was a session musician.
Mm.
So the record companies, they bring all their bass players and everything, come with 6, 7 string bass. They couldn't play a damn thing. And me with a fretless, and I'm just sitting there. Paul is like, look, we're going to get you another bass. He bought me a 4-string Fender, and he said, we're going to replace everybody because I like the fretless sound. And my approach was already, I was, just looking to explode. And I stay in the studio, and then I record the stuff with Paul without speaking because I couldn't speak English anyway. He was like a music communication, like we had a translator guy. The translator guy, he was a blind guy. His name was Hendrik Libone Koloy. And this man, he would talk to me and say, hey, Paul likes what you're playing, but, maybe you change this, change that. And I said, tell him, yeah, no problem. And we communicate like that for the whole time Paul was there. And at the end, Paul is like, look, I'm going to fly you to America to record a couple of more tracks in New York. Man, I could not believe the guy. And I was like, oh, maybe he's just saying it, And I couldn't sleep even that because then I'm thinking I might oversleep and then, I missed the flight, yeah. And it just got better. It just got better. And for me, I just saw the opportunity like, hey, look, you either take it or you don't, you die. So you do or die. But for me, it was like, play what's needed, be consistent, show up. And I did that. And of course, the engineer did some amazing job to make my fretless sound the way it sounded. For me, it was just like, just make it musical. And the way also my approach to the fretless, it was more like a voice, not just a bass line, but a voice to the music, what was needed, and it saved me, man, because when it came out, everybody was like, what the heck is going on? I got a lot of calls from bass players, from Nathan East. He called me. He's like, dude, what the hell is that you play?
Nathan East, that's great.
Oh. Yeah, Nathan East, Marcus Miller came to see me. We were playing at the Radio City Hall, and Marcus was standing behind the curtains. Somebody told him that there was this African guy who played on the Paul Simon thing, called me out, the slapping. So Marcus, he's a genius of the slapping. And man, he gives me thumbs up. He's like, yeah, man, you got your thing. And, from there, I knew that it's green light. I have to keep this and secure this because, any bass player can do it, but maybe how you put it down, you can have a sound, but if it's not planned properly, then, And Paul kept me, and he was very patient with me, like the guy doesn't know how to speak English, but he's got something. He saw something, and then the next thing I was on the road, man, traveling the world. Kicking, man, it was crazy. It was even scary because on tour, people, they show up to see who is this guy, especially when they call me out, solo comes, that little, what is that, 6 seconds or something. When it comes, man, everybody's looking at me like, yeah, I want to see if it's this guy, and then I'll nail the thing because every day I practice that solo.
It's amazing, man. I love hearing your story, and I literally had tears in my eyes when you were talking about getting the plane ticket to come to America and record and feeling like your prayers are kind of like answered in this way. Like, I love hearing that story. I love hearing the genuine, like excitement that you still have about that moment in your life, and where the turning point was. And it just, ever since I've met you, you've always had this real approachable, down to earth, like a way of being in the world. And I can tell, like, in the way that you talk and the way that you hold yourself, how grateful you are for the opportunities that you've had. And I think what a great, it's people that know Paul and his music and this album, they already know the story probably to some degree, right? But there's a whole generation of players that might not really know your story and might not know how this came about. and they may be influenced by some fretless players out there that they don't recognize that are actually influenced by you.
I've
You know,
seen
where
some
it comes
kids.
from.
I've met a lot of young, now great young players. Kids would say to me, "Man, I can't believe I'm seeing you and I'm talking to you." When my dad came up with that record, the Graceland, and put the record on the turntable and started playing this thing every day, and this kid said, "Man, I just fell in love with the bass," but I could not understand if it was a bass or trombone or something. And these kids, they approached me, and for me, Chris, man, I tell you, every day is a gift. And being in this country, this is one of the greatest country on the planet. I mean, anybody can say whatever they say. I mean, like when I look up and say, "Please take me to America," I think I was speaking to God, even though I saw the plane. But I got this opportunity to do it, and I came here, and now I have two daughters, finished college, they're teaching, contributing to the American, and for me, I'm just so grateful that just America gave me more than I expected, and every day it's a gift, man. I'm just so grateful.
I love it, and
I'm
thank you
working
for
with a
sharing
bunch
that.
of kids now. I working to, I go to schools. And I'm teaching in Long Island every week, 2 days a week. It's a commute. I take the buses, two buses. I don't drive, because I just want to be a regular person. The bass is my job. You give me the bass in front of people, I'm going to show them what I can do with this instrument. But when I'm not playing, I'm out going to the supermarket or going to the park. I'm just like, a local people, a local citizen, trying to do good, and I work with these kids and I tell them my story and say, "You're very fortunate, your mother and your father, they buy you these instruments. So when you come to me and show this instrument to me, we have to work together," because I didn't even have a bass when I was a kid. I used to take a piece of cardboard and cut it like a bass, and then no strings, but I will use the Sharpie to draw the line and frets, and then just sing the bass line so that I remember the bass line, my fingering and everything. And then when I get a real bass, the adjustment is like insane. So I have to figure out now it's the bass with the knobs and the action strings is like this high, But I didn't give up. I didn't give up. And then in the middle of that, South Africa was on fire. I mean, like every day you just think like, "Man, is this my day to die or not?" And then when you
Yeah.
survive, you go for another day.
So growing up, tell me a little bit more about what the
Yeah.
scene was politically in South Africa, because there was apartheid, right, still going on at this time, like early on in your life, and the contrast between living there and coming here. Maybe you can speak a little bit to that.
It was biggest change, for me, really to leave South Africa and come here. I saw a freedom, where you can get up at night and take a walk and not be harassed, and just no fear, no tear gas, no rubber bullets, and but in South Africa, it was a fire, but it was something that we could not understand as citizens, because all these organizations, politicians, that they group people to tell people what to do or what they're gonna do, but not doing it. We were part of that, but for me, I was focused on the instrument, because then I knew that we're gonna have a hell of a problem. That my son is still dealing with this. He's 36 years old. I left him when he was 2 years old, when I took Graceland, because I was young and I needed this, and I left my son. He's still dealing with this situation. There's no electricity in South Africa. I just talked to my grandkids. They're like, "Hey, for 2 days, no electricity, and then it comes for 5 minutes or 10, whatever, and then it's gone for the rest of the days." And
Wow.
it hasn't changed. It's from bad to worse. You know, I
Really?
mean, I'm seeing it from the distance now. It's not organized. It's not together. Even during the pandemic, I was paying attention what's going on because I still have my family in South Africa.
Yeah.
And you know, to watch my family dying without any help, the government is some of the people stealing stuff that was supposed to be given to the people who have children, and they
Mm,
steal those things to resell it to the people. And for me, it was not a very good thing. Now, come back to America. Now, I've been here for 36 years, and I see America change in front of my eyes, and I see my daughters go to school and finish college and now teaching and going through a different struggle of the country. I would say the country being divided. I still don't
mhm.
understand the politics because I've never really read about it. I've seen it where I came from, that it was not easy to live every day without somebody say to you, hey, listen, you don't have a job and we have the job to give it to you so you can take care of your family. But it was a struggle, you know, people stealing from each other. The neighbors, when you see your neighbors do well, you want to kill him and take his food because you're
Wow.
hungry. I mean, it's and it's still crazy. But
That is
come
a
here to
different
see what's
level.
going on here. It's mind blowing because you know, I became a citizen about, you know, 20 years ago. Um, but to see the change is very terrifying. It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah,
But
we
it's
have
still the
a
best
lot
country.
to. Yeah, I would say. I mean, we have so much here, and we. It is a little bit scary right now because it's
Yeah.
hard to tell which direction this is going. Right,
Yeah.
both sides.
Both sides, right?
Both sides are, lying and cheating and stealing and have their own
It's
agenda.
not
And
very clear for people. Like, you know, you want people to do something, you want to control people.
Mhm.
Who can we listen to who's going to tell us the truth because the other guy is blaming the other guy, you know, so it's like we are the ones who are paying the taxes and we the ones we're
Mhm.
dealing with situation. I have my daughters, I'm stuck with the tuition. And my daughters, they have jobs that's really struggle. My youngest daughter, she works for the special needs kids. I
Mm.
mean, that job doesn't pay much. There's a lot of stress. My daughter, she's stressed all the time with the education that she got from school, but she's working with special needs kids, even though they need somebody because not anybody cares about the special needs.
That's right.
Even
That's very.
myself, I
It's.
work with the special needs kids. I'm gonna be
Mm.
teaching them how to play some ukuleles and
Mm.
drums, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. To serve the country, serve the kids, and try to keep things going the right direction. Because we're not here for a long time to cause this damage and then still see the damages. You know,
Right.
once we leave, these kids they're gonna deal with the situation. So we need to fix it now so that our grandkids and great grandkids they can have a better direction and follow the right direction.
I agree with you. I can sympathize. Special needs children. I've known a few people that have worked in that field, and it is extremely difficult, especially if you have
Um,
hitters and biters and, like,
yeah.
are non-verbal children that
Oh
are
my
very
God.
difficult. My brother has a son that is 10, 11 years old now, and
Mm,
super intelligent, right? But the nonverbal part can be such a barrier at times, and it
mm,
requires learning a whole kind of different way of interacting and being in the world. And so my heart goes out to anyone and everyone that's taking on that,
yeah.
because they need just as much, if not more, love than the average kid, right? And
Right.
because it's more difficult for them to self-express, to get their message across, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're doing work with the music, because the nonverbal work in music can be magic for this population. I
And
mean,
they,
magic for
they
all
they
of us,
love
right?
music, man. They love
Oh,
music.
I
Even my
bet.
daughter, she plays piano for them and
Oh,
writes songs with them. My daughter, she recorded a piece with these kids, and then she sent me the tape and says, "Dad, put some music in it." So I had to add the drums and bass, and I put my daughter. She tells me add the saxophone, the guitar, this and that. You know? And then the kids, they sounded so good. Then I send them the MP3. They listen back. They love it. And I said, you know what? That's what we want to see. We want to see these kids smile. It doesn't have to be a beautiful voice or what. As long as they feel good about what they're doing, it's most important.
It's so fun to see the lights turn on with the collaboration, with the jamming, the connecting with the rhythm or a melody or anything, finding that thing. And then if they get to do it in a group with you or with other people, man, it's a big deal, right?
There's so much, you know, there's so much to give. Everything is a medicine for disaster, to help all these disasters if we treat it right. You know, sometimes I go to the mountains and just see nothing but the mountains, no buildings, just falcons and you know, and hawks and, you know, eagles flying all over the place, and just think like, man, if it's like this every day, everywhere, and people are doing the same thing, man, we'll be all peaceful. We'll be all peaceful. But, you know, some things is out of our control. You just gotta not get involved in something that's not good, and just at all times be safe, and then serve to the country, you know. This is amazing. It's amazing country, man. I mean, being here for 30 some years, and it's the best. It's the best. And I thank each and everyone who listened to all my chaotic bass playing on that Graceland to accept me, you know, because everybody says, man, I had this record, you know, I still have that record. And I'm like, wow, I'm grateful. But now having my Kissel bass, lifesaver and a game changer. Game changer, man. These instruments are ridiculous.
Tell me about the story through your basses. You had some kind of bass before Paul met you, right? And you said Paul bought you a new bass. I'm curious, what was that first bass? What do you remember about that first bass? And through the years, you said you had played some Fender and a few other basses before you got to these new Kiesels. I'm curious about like your evolution around the basses, and what was the last couple things you played before you joined us at Kiesel?
Yeah, well, you know, also too, I've been I was learning, trying to figure out now playing power basses with, like, you know, actives, and not really understanding the knobs, what to do with the knobs. My fretless was a passive, simple, you know, volume, treble, bass, and, you know, and then everything I just did it my way. I bought the bass for $100.
In
Because
South Africa, the first one.
in South Africa, you know, because I used to go to a music shop and practice songs for the gig, you know, with the fretted bass. And then when I get to the gig, I have my fretless. Then I play all the songs with the fretless. No, that's before I bought the fretless. I'm sorry. So when I get to the gig, they have a bass, and I'll play all kinds of bass that the band I joined, they have, you know, Gibson and Fender and all kinds of stuff. But I asked my mother, I said, listen, I need a bass because now I'm practicing with a piece of cardboard. I need to have a real bass so I can practice with the bass. And my mother, she says, listen, I don't have money. The last money I have is the rent money. I'm going to give it to you, but you stuck with this instrument. I took the money, I went to the store. And the store where I bought the fretless, I used to practice those songs for the gig until the guy recognized me every time I come there. But I never buy anything, I'm just playing. And the guy says, no, you cannot do that today. You cannot play these basses, and you're not buying anything. And if you want to play the bass because you love playing the bass, then go play that bass. He pointed at the fretless. And I hated it because there was no line. And and then I take the fretless, I go to the amp, and then I plug in the fretless. Oh my God, I was out of tune like crazy, man, crazy. But, you know, it's $100. The guy says he's, you know, $100. You can have the bass. And my mother gave me the money. Took the bass, I go home and I play the damn thing. I play like, you know, Shining Star, Earth, Wind and Fire, you know, or Brazil, George Benson, but man, whoo!
It's funny that that it's almost like the universe, knew that fretless was the thing for you, right? And in just by that circumstance, no, you can't play these fretted basses anymore. If you want, you can go buy that, play that one over there. And
Yeah.
then that was the thing, that was the sound, just by you being you and the circumstances being what they were, you started to take on something that was, like most bass players, like there's bass players and then there's fretless double bass upright,
Yeah.
type players. It's a different category. So
Yeah, but this bass, it just taught me, which is now I teach people who wants to play the fretless, that this instrument is a beast. It's got his own sound. And you have to listen to it. You can't do things that you do on like a fretted, or you have to listen, be very sensitive about how you play the tonation. It took me a long time because when I got my first fretless, I got fired for so many bands in the township because every time I play, I'm like out of tune, and the singer is singing is holding the ear. And then he turns around and says, something is wrong. I don't know what's wrong. And then they look at me, they're like, no, it's you. The bass doesn't have the lights. I'm like, oh man. And then I knew that I'm gonna get fired. But I didn't give up. I didn't change the bass. I said, you know what? It's my fault to not to understand this instrument, but if I'm gonna play this, I'm gonna have to understand it. My mother, she bought this bass. I'm gonna have to understand it. Then I go to the mountains in Lesotho, outside South Africa. It's rural areas where people they play the deer horn and a big drum like a Brazilian drum with like a tube on top and some bottles caps around when you play book, and he's got the caps and everybody's happy, is dancing, and one guy's playing accordion. And I said, oh, perfect. I listened to the accordion guy, listen to his left-hander, because they play like, it's almost like the octave thing. And I took the fretless, I used that, and it was perfect. Perfect. For 6 months, then I go back to Johannesburg. Johannesburg is the city, it's like New York, studios and everything. And when I came back after 6 months, it was a whole different thing. And now I'm listening to Jaco just to understand how to approach the fretless, not to try to play like him because nobody can play like him.
Right.
But just to understand how you approach the fretless, how you have to be sensitive, how you get the vibrato without doing this, just nice vibrato. And man, I got a lot of sessions after that. I was just playing all over the place and then playing some jazz, pick some weather report stuff and jam with, stuff. But
sounds like the time with the accordion like helped tune your ear, right? To
right, to get the octaves,
the right
because when I
intonation and
hear
stuff, right?
wow, 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 yeah, so I listen to the intonation for the accordion, and it saved me because really, I mean, I wanted to focus on learning the instrument. I started with love. Now I gotta learn it. There's no shortcut. I can't just want to be famous just because I'm playing the instrument. No, I have to spend some time. I don't read music, but I have to spend a lot of time in practice and get to know the instrument. Once I knew the instrument, everybody was saying, man, you got something here. Because for me, growing up listening to the a cappella voices, like the group called Ladysmith Black Mambazo, for me, that was a bass line that was sitting there waiting to be used. And when the Graceland came, it was perfect.
And so
great timing.
So,
it was great timing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was like not perfect. That's the way it was meant to be, right? I mean, I think that's the. I mean, I know that not everybody probably has the same experience, but like I've had it in my life more than a few times where I was just doing the thing that I love to do, and then all of a sudden, I feel because of doing the thing that I love to do and pouring myself into it, that it was more. I was more apt to be in the right place at the right time, right? Like for the thing to be bestowed upon me. Like working in the industry, like I didn't even really know that these type of gigs existed, you know, that
Yeah.
like you could be a liaison for art between a company and artists. And
Yeah.
then I walked in, I thought I was going to be a product developer, and that was going to be it. I was kind of training or studying to do that. And then next thing you know, something happens. 2008 happens. People leave the company
Wow.
I was at, and they're like, "Hey, nobody's talking to the artists. Nobody knows how
Yeah.
to. Nobody here understands that." And I'm like, "Well, if you just need me to talk to people, I can. That's easy. I do customer service, no problem, you know."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, but we need you to talk to the rock stars and convince them to come to the NAMM show and do signings and do
Yeah.
ads for us." And I'm like, "Okay, all right." So, you know, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, this is actually the thing I was supposed to do."
Yeah.
I did, you know, I had no idea that this was even the acclamation, you know, this was the epitome of what my skills kind of, you know, and it, just
Yeah.
like you know, like I mean, I don't want this fretless bass. I want, all right.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, and it's
I
like,
mean, I could have told the guy, no, you know, and then move to another store. But I took it and I said, wait a minute, you know,
mm,
this
mm,
instrument, it's something I've never seen anything like that, you know.
mm,
But I didn't, I just took it very serious. And I mean, I played the big bass as well, you know,
mm-hmm,
later on, not in front of public, but at home.
mm-hmm,
You know, but the fretless, it was supposed to be my sound, and I just really recognized that and then listened. But when I played on the Graceland, I just made a statement like,
mm,
this is my sound. You know, everything was accurate. You know, the lines. I'll play the pocket, and then all of a sudden, I'm playing some double stops, and I'm doing something that's melodical. That's not confusing for Paul because he's telling the story, and if I'm gonna play a line when he's singing about sadness, you know, it has to be the right moment. You know, the right moment.
mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy used to spend time with me for a long time. Sometimes during the sound check, he says, "What are you playing on this song?" "Oh, this is what I'm playing." "Okay, let's sit down, let's talk." "Okay, guys, take a break." The whole band, everybody goes up, and then we're working on the song. I'm playing a bunch of stuff. Maybe the sound, that doesn't sound. "Do you have another bass?" And "Okay, so I got my stuff." He says, "Okay,
Mm,
I like the sound there." So you know. I'm singing this, so what are you playing? And then I gotta figure out a way of not getting in his way.
sure.
And then too, sometimes I was in trouble because you know I'm playing with the greatest drummer on the planet, Steve Gadd. And then
Yeah.
also he's telling me what to do because he's played with many greatest bass players. So when
Mm.
I'm like playing some happy stuff, he says, "Bakithi, keep it simple." And I knew, I said, hey, he's the best guy to listen to as a bass player to, you know, to stay with him because he's doing a bunch of amazing stuff that he wants people to hear that is known doing that. So for me, I have to know his space. And then he gives me my space. He supports the groove. He's like, we are the foundation. Let everybody follow us.
Mm,
But you know, like as the years goes with my fretless, it just started to get like really not functioning properly, especially
mm,
after the Graceland tours. But then the other tour, the album after Graceland, the Rhythm of the Saints, I played a couple of songs with that fretless, but then it started to lose all the magic. And now my technicians, they called everybody, this one and that one, this one and that one, until I met you guys at the NAM show.
mm.
Everybody got fired after that. Once I got the keys, man, you plug in simple, flat, and I play something. Everybody was saying, "You got the bass. You got the bass." But now, I mean, I gotta get used to Kiso because it's so much electronics, so much beauty in it. And
Mm.
I got used to it. I'm loving it, and I'm playing most my 5 string. The 6 string, the neck is still a little bit, you know, wider for me, but the 5 string is just perfect. And the piccolo bass, this guy here,
Oh yeah, let's see it.
I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. I'm recording on my new record right now,
Oh,
playing some
that's beautiful.
melodies stuff. It's awesome. It's really awesome.
And that one's got real light, the piccolo strings, right? So it's light, really light strings, but in a standard tuning.
Yeah, so La Bella, they made my strings. So the high string is the F C G D, and
Mm,
it's more like a guitar. It's got the
mm.
guitar sound. I can play some muting, and I use also the mute, like to get like almost like a muted guitar
Oh yeah, yeah. Is
stuff.
that called by the bridge?
Yeah, 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 by the bridge. Yeah, and man, I cannot wait to show Paul. I'm taking it with me to Texas.
Is that where you're doing some rehearsals with Paul, or are you doing some recording? What's
It's not a recording, it's not a rehearsal, but he's trying some in ears because he never used in ears.
Oh, I see.
Now that he wants the band not to be loud. Of course, as he's getting up there, his ear pressure is, you know,
Right.
it's been a problem flying and playing all that stuff. So we're going to help him to make sure that he would love to use those things so we can go to hopefully
Yeah,
again.
get used to the new way of doing things with the in ears so that
Yes, yes, because the band is already using it, but sometimes it was a problem with him because he uses the wedges, and for
mm.
us, I play soft because I can hear myself very well. Then he can hear me. You'll be talking, and I say, what? And he says, you guys, you're using these things now. It's a problem. You don't hear the ambience and everything. So it's going to be very interesting for him to try that. And
Mm.
I think he's coming to an understanding that I think it could be good for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that the artists from the era, the 70s, 60s, 70s and 80s era sometimes really have a hard time transitioning to having the
Yeah.
in-ears because they're so used to the feeling the air move with the wedges on
Yeah.
stage. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
especially the big rock bands. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Yeah.
I worked with AC/DC and Black Sabbath, and those guys
Woo!
are so used to, when they hit a note on the bass or it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
moves their pants from
Yeah.
behind, it's like a big deal. And so I remember I was there when Alice in Chains was trying to shift over to a quiet stage with
Yeah.
in-ears, and the bass player Mike Inez, do you know Mike? You met
The
Mike?
name sounds familiar.
He's a fun guy. He's a great bass player, and
Wow.
he's a funny guy. But we had just Ampeg. I was working with Ampeg back in the day, and we had made him this huge custom 18s and two 8x10s on top of that, and it was
Oh
just
my God.
monsters. He was the only one in the because he was trying to make his rig sound like Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath, that because
Yeah.
Black Sabbath
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
done something kind of like that, and he was like, I want some of that mojo in
Yeah.
this band. And so we just perfected that, and like the management and everybody's like, yeah, so we need to put all we're gonna have a clean stage. He's like, what? I want my cabinets out here. He's like, yeah, we're gonna put some in-ears in. And like he was just like, we'd finally kind of perfected it, and he was like, okay. And he was the only live instrument other than the drums kind of like on the stage for the first while, and then they kind of convinced him to tuck his stuff underneath, and they'd mic it,
Wow.
and and it can be difficult. And then in plus two, because of the hearing thing, like as your hearing goes, you want to turn
Yeah.
it up louder. And
Yeah.
man, I remember hanging out with the guys in AC/DC, and the sound guy said, hey, it's like a progressive thing. Like at the beginning of the day, they're like, yeah, no, a little louder. Yeah, no, a little louder.
Yeah.
No, a little
Yeah.
louder.
Louder
By the
and
end of the
louder.
night, everybody's like, oh my God, how are you guys even living? Because it's so loud, because they're gotten older. They want to have the same feeling that they used to feel on stage, but to do that, you're like damaging yourself on one level, right? So
Man,
I
listen,
wish the best for Paul.
yeah, he's gonna get used to it. But I played with the Planet Drum, Mickey Hart. He
Mm.
called me after I finished the tour with Paul, and I got this call. Mickey Hart called my house, says, "I'm looking for BK, and I want BK to come and play with us." bring your suitcase and your bass. And so then I asked my family, who is this guy? He says, well, he's a Grateful Dead. And I have no idea who Grateful Dead is. And my wife's like, hey, look, you have to go. You have kids to support. Take the kid. And then I got on the plane, and I'm so nervous as hell because I don't know the music. It's I show up at in San Francisco, and it was a show that night. I show up at the sound check, and Mickey's doing the sound check, and and I see the big Maya speakers where I'm gonna be standing. And I'm like, okay, Maya speakers, that's a PA speakers. And Mickey says, that's your bass amp.
Yes.
For me, I was terrified because I don't want to play loud, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But Mickey, he's now another one, without, it doesn't have good ears right now because of the loud playing.
Mm.
And man, I knew that this is gonna be hell. One time I dropped the speaker down, I just played the loop B, and then speaker fell, the PA speaker.
Oh.
Somehow, luckily, it didn't hit anybody. It just fell because of the
vibration rocked the speaker.
The vibration was so loud, even on
Oh.
stage, I could feel it. And then Mickey says, "Yeah, you're playing the bass now." And then we go to his house. Practice. I stayed at his house for about a month, and every morning I'll practice with the Maya speakers.
Mm.
Man, yeah, I knew that the guy was he couldn't hear anything. He's deaf, but I have to match up with him.
So you got used to it after a little
while.
Put
a lot of foam in my ears, then I can feel the vibration.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And remind me, so you're almost all finger style, right? Like, do you ever use a guitar pick or a bass pick ever?
I use a bass pick, yes, yeah, like a little soft bass pick, like especially when I play like the South African stuff.
Mm.
But most are more like finger picking or
thumb?
Slapping thumb. Or I control the bass, the adjustment. Okay, where I have to play a little deeper, or where I can dig in between the pickups or the back pickup, so I play around with it,
Yeah, so when you do use a pick, what kind of pick is it?
Sometimes I cut the plastic bottle or something.
Oh, really?
To get a light one, so I can be able to go up and down. But if it's a hard pick, it's really hard to go, like. But with the plastic, I have to do it, but then it requires more volume.
Okay.
Or more punch on the bass, so I can really play, not playing hard, but just using the technique. And not very often though. Maybe once in a while I use the pick.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty much all finger style and with the thumb for you, but I wasn't sure if
I
there
use
was...
the pick because in South African music it's all the pick. If you listen to the old traditional bass players, it was all. Because when I was a kid now getting into the bass, I didn't know how to play with finger like this. I never seen anybody because
so you started out with a pick then? Yeah,
I was playing with the pick, and I play with the pick or sometimes using my thumb this way until one time I had this dream and seeing the guy with the hands like this, but I couldn't see the face of the person playing the bass with the fingers. And then I woke up when I remember that dream, and I woke up and I tried to play with the fingers like this. It was so hard. But once I got comfortable, everything that I was playing with the thumb, it got better. The tone got better. Even the peak was too bright every time I played it. Like it was crazy. But once I figured this out, then now I gotta make sure that I can move my fingers or control the right hand, sit on top of the low string. First I was sitting on the, some of the bass had like a thumb rest. So you can rest, but you cannot dig in, go, low. So I sit on the top of the lower string or E or B to dig in more, I had to make some adjustment without going to school or having a private teacher to teach me. So everything is it was me that
the universe gave you a dream to put you in the right direction. So you dreamt about a new hand position that you hadn't used before, and then you woke up and tried it out.
I woke up, my friends, like my friends, they wake up, start talking, smoking, and and they didn't understand what I was trying to do. And I'm sitting there with the bass. No, the bass was a messed up bass because we were in Zululand traveling with the band. And when you break the strings, there's no music stores. So you have to look for the curtain rod, the wire from the curtain.
Oh, wow.
And just put that and get a sound. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty, but everybody's been drinking, they're dancing, so they can't tell any different.
Hey, let's go.
The drummer is playing with the gold skin. The bass drum is
yeah.
There's no tone, but people are dancing. They just want to see the hands moving. And that bass that I played, it was so terrible that I played in Zululand. He had a lot of blood. The fretboard had blood because everybody played that bass, and then they would tie the strings. Every time I forget, and I do this, like, oh no, God, it will cut me, because it's been replaced.
What happened to that bass? Did you trade it in?
When I left the band, now my fretless is still here. I still got my fretless, but the bass that had blood, it was the first bass now when I'm starting to play with the band, the township band.
You left it there with the band.
Yeah, because I got kicked out, and then another guy, he had to taste the blood. One man's blood is another man's blood.
That's right. Oh man, I have to say that you have such a good reputation in the bass player community. When I mention your name, when I'm around Hutch Hutchinson, he's like, oh man, he loves you, and like
Brian Bombeck.
Oh, Bromberg, yeah.
Oh man, what's the French guy? Bunny Brunel.
Oh, Bunny, yeah.
Bunny Brunel, Abe Laborel, Chuck Rainey. I mean,
those are the guys.
And I tell them, I remember Abe, he said he was nervous when he met me. And he said he was nervous because of the when he had the Graceland, like, wow, this guy, Paul introduced us together. When we played in LA, and I met Abe, and man, for me, I was shaking when I shake his hand because I was more nervous. Because this is the man who also gave me the direction by now playing, grooves, funk like Al Jarreau, George Benson, and looking at the records where Abel is playing, and I just love his groove because he was playing happy, happy, and then see his video dancing and jumping and killing the bass like crazy. I mean, like he really helped me. And for me, I have so much respect for every American bass player, because if he wasn't American bass players, I don't think I'll be here. But they just, they just gave me an education to like, here's the direction. If you're gonna play funk, you're gonna slap, do it the right way. And for me, I spent a lot of time, and I came here now, and I mean, I just excel, just go up.
I love that Abe is such a monster player, and I love that you both were like nervous to meet each other.
And then we end up going on tour together. Me and him, we visited the school, we played the ukulele bass, the U bass.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll go to school in jam, and then I was on the bus with him for 6 hours, and Chuck Rain and Jerry Jamon, Victor Wooden, I was in bass heaven, just quiet listening and say, I can't believe this. But yeah, I respect every bass player, and we're all in the same. It's like we're in one big church that we all praise the Lord, and just doing this. We're not doing it for money. I'm not doing it for money. I'm comfortable with my life now. I have everything that I need, and but I still remember my people at home. I can't even send the pictures of me eating the lobster because they will hate me. When I go to South Africa, they want to say, you've changed.
Right.
Lobsters. But, I'm just grateful, and I'm happy every day. and my family. I love everybody,
You
man.
know, another that's beautiful. Another person we have in common is Daryl Anders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Download. Yes.
Daryl's such a good dude, and every time I end up chatting with him, he's like, "It's so cool that you got Bakithi on Kiesel, man. Like that, he's one of the greatest players of all time." And we chat about you, and that's just like he's always, you know, he's such a bass. Obviously, he's bass, you know, his whole life,
Yeah.
and really studied the instrument, and he's been doing so good and becoming
Yeah.
successful with his music, and it's really
Yeah.
beautiful to see.
He's an amazing person. You know, when I met him, he says, "Dude, I want to give you the strings, man. I want you to sound good." And then I played his strings for a while, and I love it. But you know, of course, everybody's my family. Everybody's gonna represent things to me, you know.
Sure.
And for me, it's like, let me try this. And then, of course, because I have education, kids, and I could say, you know what, I like this, but you know what, I got my ex that I trust because it's not about the name. It's about the quality for me
Sure.
to
Yeah.
deliver. Because I started without a quality, not having a quality, but when I now it's a quality, and there's no better bass than Kiso. You know,
Mm.
I've been approached by a lot of people what they can do for me. They say, "Oh, we can do this. We can put clinics," and I'm like, "Well, you know, but that doesn't good for me when I'm trying to get the tone and struggling to get the sound, but going do clinic and help the company to sell the stuff. No, I want to play the bass that I feel comfortable for me, and that
That's
sounds
awesome.
good. My
I love that.
boss, he loved those basses. When I got the new fretless, and when I play that fretless, it's like, you know, that's like your bass. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, that's the point why Kiesel, they made a bass that's going to sound similar to the Graceland, and then even go beyond, you know, because the sound,
Right.
it's endless. Paul loves it. Everybody, you know,
That's
it's so beautiful.
so good to hear. That's so good to hear. I'd
I'm
love
here
to
forever, man. I mean, I'm not going anywhere.
I really look for. I really hope that that Paul goes on the road again, and I hope to get to see you play live with him in this
I will
context.
do something. If we do it, you will know.
That would be
I will
amazing. And
definitely.
yeah, what a wonderful you know, legacy you have with him, and he has with you. You know, like it's a really beautiful thing because he was already doing his thing in full
Yeah,
swing
yeah,
long before he met you. But
yeah,
it's beautiful that when he met you and your group of people, that's the thing that has been the most successful in his world. Like, not to say that other things weren't, you know, didn't play into it, but
yeah. But
you
this
know,
one is just notch up. Yeah,
it's a turning point. And I remember as a young person, I'm turning 47 this year, and I remember in back in the 85, 86 when that video you can call me Al
with
popped
Chevy
up.
Chase.
Oh, which I was just thinking about. Yeah, I was like, that Chevy Chase is in that. That's right, you know. And but like it was such a fun and uplifting song amongst, you know, like the 80s was really diverse, you know, in a
Yeah,
lot of ways. I still, when I look back, I'm still marvel at the diversity that was happening, even though there was certain, you know, there's always little waves of stuff that kind of sounds similar, and people, you know, there's
yeah,
waves of sounds. But when Paul came out with that, there was nothing quite like that. I mean, you had somebody like Sting and the Police doing their kind of,
yeah,
you know, Rasta, like reggae inspired things, and African inspired, and there was always, you know, some inspiration
yeah.
coming in. But this was a unique sound that, and your bass, your playing, your energy, huge part of that, huge part of that.
It was an amazing record, you know, musically, and difficulties, the challenges, you know, for Paul to go to South Africa and record this music, and really, you know, knowing about anything about the country, but because he loves the music, and it became really political for all of us. You know, I remember people, they threatening me. They said, "You played on that record, you sold our music," and I look at them like, "What are you talking about?"
Mm,
You know, and
hmm.
it was difficult, but they made the record popular because there was nothing like that back that time. You know, you have like commercial music, you know, with these sounds and, you know, American, African, South African mixed together. It was a monster record. I mean, like when we
Hmm.
played for Saturday Night Live before the record came out, I knew that that's going to be a monster. One of the best selling record all over the world. I mean, it was incredible. And then
Hmm.
going on tour, being on tour passes for 3 years and traveling the world, and people every show we play, they react the same way. And it was an amazing record, man. Like when I told you earlier that I got called from like Nathan, and
Hmm.
just amazing people to say, "Wow, man, welcome to the bass family." And
Hmm.
somebody had told me, he said, "Yeah, Jacob before he passed, he had listened to the Graceland. Somebody
Wow.
played the Graceland, and he listened and said, 'Who's that cat?' You know."
Ah,
And I wanted to meet him too and thank him because, you know, just listening to his sound and slides and stuff that he did on the records, you know, I wanted to be like him, you know,
yeah.
and but he left too soon.
Yes, he
And,
did. Yes, he did.
but
Sometimes
his work, he's still here. We're still struggling to figure out his work.
that's right, and that's how the masters do it, man. That's how, like, the people that come along, and is well, that's the interesting. I'm always finding it interesting on how the little tidbits from different influences end up creating a new, fresh, revolutionary thing, right? Like, and
Yeah,
and when the person doing it, such as yourself, going back there and studying, listening to Jaco and going, yeah, okay, well, I can't do his thing, but like I can hear
I can
and
use, yeah,
I can hear how he's approaching this and how I can utilize the way he's touching the instrument, the way he holds the instrument, the
yeah,
way, where, yeah, I can use that in my
yeah,
approach. And then through your own thing, you end up developing your own stuff, and everybody's like, "Whoa, Bakithi, wow, what's that? What's going
yeah.
on, man?" And you're like, "Oh, I was listening to this guy and this guy and this guy, and
Huh?
and Paul wanted this, so I don't know. Here we go." Like, and
It's here, yeah.
that's cool.
Stanley Clark with the slapping,
Oh man, Stanley, yeah.
trying to listen to Return to Forever and like, what the hell is going on? But you learn because when you want to learn, like my kids, I told them, like when first they want to drive the car, you have to learn and you have to lose the fear and put a lot of time and focus. And
Mm.
today they bought the cars and then they drove away and left me hanging.
Oh,
But that's life, We learn, we live to paint a picture that the next generation is going to look at the
mm,
picture, whether it's good or bad. So, but for us, we live to, paint that picture. Like my kids too, I tell them, look, I live to have awards, so I can look back and say, that was amazing. All the things that I got from all over the world, I collected, look, everything, even the Caesar from Tokyo,
mm-hmm,
stuff to bring it to say, I'm bringing the world to my house, and
mm-hmm,
then appreciate when I'm not doing anything, sitting in my studio and say, yeah, that was amazing. And I expect that to my kids, even the kids that I'm teaching in Long Island. I expect them to go distance and not treat music as like a instrument to go and drink and hang out. This is a business. You treat your instrument with the respect. You fix your instrument when it's broken. Know your instrument or take lessons from somebody. Like I teach kids now how to fix the trots, so that it's comfortable for you to play and say, okay,
mm,
you can do this your way, so it's comfortable your way. You want the higher action or lower action. This is what you have to do so you feel comfortable. Learn to do those things by learning how to love your instrument. Then you're going to be a better player in the future. You
mm-hmm,
don't show up with a broken instrument or you take your instrument to somebody else to fix it and you don't know because now he's going to do it his way and you got to play his way. You have to
mm-hmm,
learn these things. And I teach my kids the responsibility of the instrument, not just playing, but maintaining.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These days, when you listen to music, is there, do you still find yourself finding new music and listening to new music, or do you find yourself kind of revisiting things that are, more so, or is it a combination? Like,
I
oh,
listen.
yeah, go ahead.
when I'm home, I play instruments myself. I play the flute. I have the flute.
Oh
I play
wow.
the flute, yeah, and not listen, all the stuff. Let's see. So I mean, I can play some stuff. I play some keyboard, then I have a saxophone. I play the saxophone and I play the aerophone from Roland.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I Now, if I listen to music, I listen to music without a bass, so I can find some things because I can find the bass line when I listen to a kora, if somebody's playing a
Mm.
kora, or a different instrument, not the bass, because the bass sometimes when I hear it's like I have to slap and. But I'm looking for like a voice, something that I can use when I get called to do a session. I can
Mm.
think that way. But when you listen to the stuff all the time, unless my family, they're having a good time, we listen to country music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm a biggest fan of country music, and I love the bass players like the guy from Nashville. Um, just all the bass player. My family will listen. My fiance will be dancing for
Mm-hmm.
country music, and then we get in the car. She listen to this guy. What's his name? Oh my God! Now I forget. Kenny
Oh, Kenny
Chesney.
Chesney, yeah.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I love his stuff because he invites a lot of people, to his show, and so I listen to him. But when I'm alone, it's either I'm playing something.
Yeah, okay. So I see it more when you listen to music, you listen for stuff that has not much bass or no bass so that
No
you can
bass. Yeah.
it's like it gives you space to imagine new voicings and new things around the style. That's really interesting.
Yeah, like this thing also too. That's another thing I play, the kalimba,
Oh, cool.
and the kalimba. I can tune it different.
Mm.
Like any scale, um, to get the good sound. Like if I wanna calm myself down, I can't sleep. I play the kalimba,
Oh, that's perfect.
and it'll put me to sleep. And but I'm looking for something that's not bass because right now, younger bass players, they're doing all kinds of stuff without being in the session musicians. So when you play a bunch of stuff like that, you limit yourself to work. Because me, I'm old school. Like the bass for me is the foundation.
Mm.
You gotta play it the right way that people can dance or the singer can sing. But right now, there's so many great young solo bass players play all kinds of stuff. But how
Mm.
are you gonna pay your bills? That's the question. Because everybody goes to YouTube and say, Victor Wooden, oh, they see Victor is doing all kinds of stuff. Victor is making a living playing the way he's playing. But the
Right.
young people, we want to discipline them, play the song, know the form of the song, and then when they give you a bass solo, go crazy.
Right. Right.
But it's a whole new generation, so
Yeah,
I'm glad I was born back then.
what do they say? Like there ain't no money past the fifth fret or something like that. I don't know. All right,
That's
just
right.
hold it down, baby. Hold it down.
Hold it down. I tell
Yeah.
people I make my money right in the middle of the fret.
Yeah, right
Right?
there.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Not higher. You go higher, and like everybody leaves the stadium. They say, he's tuning. Oh, he's playing the solo. We don't want to hear that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because yeah, it's always impressive when a proficient player on any instrument takes a solo or has a cool fill or a little bit of flair around what they're doing. But I think that, with modern times, everything has to be bigger, more, more, more. And so we've gotten to a
Yeah.
point where there's solo versions of everything. And you could have virtuoso flautist, you could have virtuoso pianist and all these things. And some people are able to hold the listener's attention with some of that. And some of us are drawn towards that. But the stuff that really, I would say, sticks around usually is the stuff that has the repetition, has a good hook, has some tension and resolve, and good Lord, maybe even every once in a while there'd be a bridge these days. There's not a lot of bridges in songs
No, no
these
bridges,
days,
no.
you know, but I kind of miss the key change and the bridge.
Yeah,
You know, I kind of miss, I would like to, I mean, I would just like to hear a little bit more because some of the best songs, you
yeah,
know, really, because you get that departure, you get
yeah.
that shift, and then you get to return, you know,
Yeah, it's
and
like where to go.
that's
But
really
you see,
cool.
that's why Paul is so brilliant. I mean, working for him and listening to his earlier music and then listening to now. Because when we play the shows, man, he will change the songs like crazy.
Mm.
But you know, it's frustrating for the first time when you kind of land and you're like, oh, my part was good. But then he tell you, no, it doesn't work with this part. Somebody, he changed somebody's part. Now you have to change your part. So, but when we perform, man, everything is, it's amazing. You can
Mm.
hear everything, each and every song, everybody's doing something. It's not just like playing song and not listening to each other. You know, it's all the dynamics. We play like 60,000 people, but we play very quiet,
Mm.
not loud, because some people they think when you play in the arena 60,000 you have to be loud. No, the engineer in front of the house, he's got it on stage. It's got to be a good level that you can hear your neighbor
Mm-hmm.
without screaming. And so it's for Paul is all being dynamics. We rehearse dynamics for months and months, not the songs, you know, the songs, but the dynamics. You know, you rehearse the song until you know each and everyone's part. Because sometimes he's working with the guitar player and then I'm holding my bass sitting there for like an hour.
Mm.
By the time
Yeah.
he end with that guy, I know his part. You know.
Yeah, it's got to help. I mean, anytime you work out some other, you know, band member's part, it always informs your part that much more, right?
Yeah, yeah, you get to know the song and you get to know you we becoming friends with one another because if he has a struggle or he doesn't remember his part, I remember. I can
Mm.
help him. So we
Mm.
learn to help one another. And when we play like one piece band
Love that.
because everybody knows their part and we practice for a long time. And this man is a genius. He's telling the story. He cannot be screaming and trying to let people know what he's singing about and the band is playing loud. No.
Yeah,
Now
not
playing
with
with Mickey
Paul.
Hart, it was the opposite.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah,
But
all those
you know,
drums.
it's all good, man. It's all good, you know.
So if I know that your legacy and your career has revolved around Paul, but like, who have been some of your other favorite gigs that you've had through the years? And are there any musicians out there that you haven't collaborated with that you might like to play with?
Well, yeah, probably there's plenty, but I mean the ones that I've worked with them, you know, I just feel so grateful. I feel like maybe that's the stop right there to
Mm.
record with Heavy Hancock
Mm.
album on there's a work Gershwin's World. He had Chick Corea on that album, Stevie Wonder is on that album, and my name is on that album. I play the
Herbie.
bass. My man is gone now, fretless, and then another song I played acoustic guitar, a mute guitar, and then Derek Trucks and Susan Tadash.
Mm-hmm.
I went on tour with them and I played on their record. It's called Misunderstood. Um, and then I went on tour with them for a few months. Mickey Hart, Planet Drum, Cyndi Lauper, Gloria Estefan, go on tour with Shaka Khan. Man, whew.
That's amazing.
I went on tour with Shaka Khan, Philip Bailey at the same time with Gerald Albright, and man, so many people. Irish music. I worked with Eileen Ivers.
Mm.
Um, Played on the Disney Lion King movie movie that you know it didn't come out because of the pandemic, and I'm still doing session you know with people overseas at home. But all this music is just my favorite, and then I feel like I have a big responsibility because when people they send me tracks, they say, "Please, can you play on my tracks?" They get me thinking because they know what I can do and I like to be part of the song, and I listen to the song like a week before I play something because I want to know the song.
Mm.
So I'm just painting a picture, and still doing what I love to do. You know, so but all the music, man, is my favorite. Played with Chet Smith, the Chili Pepper guy, great drummer.
Oh,
And,
amazing, yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I'm doing my thing, and I just love to do this. I don't even count. Sometimes I hear songs on the radio, and I'm like, oh man, that guy sounds great. But then I find out it's me. Then, oh my God, when did I do that? Because I'm like, wow, man, he's got the same feel, and I listen. The bass really sounds like that's my bass. But then let me find out Tuesdays. Then it's me. I did a project I forgot about.
Oh man, you sound like Hutch to me, like, because Hutch does that. I mean, he remembers, but he's played on so many things too, and he's like, that was me. Yeah, I was on that record.
Yeah. Because sometimes you show up nervous. You don't know if you're gonna make it on the track or not. And you know, people when you leave the session, they say, "Well, thank you, we got your bass line." And you leave, you're not gonna hear about these people until later. The song is playing somewhere at the Home Depot. I'm at the Home Depot, and I'm like, "Wow, great bass player."
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Hey man, it's what God gave us the gift, to spread the word and spread the love, and treat this instrument with the greatest respect. You know, for me, I respect the bass a lot because it saved my life from South Africa. You know, it got me. First, the bass, it just pulled me to it. You know, like, hey, look, I'm here for you. You have to see this. You know, it's like when you see a beautiful lady you like, but you don't want to talk, and she's waiting for your action, but you're not saying anything, and you lose it. But I had to say something, and the bass saved my life. This man, even still today, I thank the instrument, and I thank you guys, amazing builders, to give us tools that we can be able to hold on and deliver without any problem. Trust. I call these basses trust. And they give me so much love. I've never been so much love. When they see my 5-string, man, people, they want to touch it. They're like, wow, it looks like the animal gazelle. Because the way it looks, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm African, so that's my animal.
That's very cool. Yeah, I love that that's the case. That's amazing.
Oh, they love it. They love it. and it's just not the look, but it's the sound of it. The sound makes my life so easy. Easier. Thank you, Kiso. Thank you.
Well, dude, thank you, Bakithi. We are so proud to have you a part of our artist roster and part of the Kiesel family.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Your legendary hands on our instruments is a match made in heaven. We're so happy to be a part of your situation, and in turn be a part of Paul's situation and all the things that you do, and especially the way that you give back. And I love that you really have a big heart and really want to make sure that that you're able to pass on the knowledge and the wisdom and the freedom that music can give us, because it obviously helped you find a large sense of freedom, and so thank you for showing up in the world in the way that you have. You know,
thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you so much. You know, I thank you the same. You know, yeah.
Thank you for taking time to chat with me today too. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I hope the rest of your day goes super well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we'll send my love to everyone in Kiso.
Absolutely, I sure will. And we'd love to have you come out and visit sometime. So when you come to San Diego or whatever, or when you're close to LA, let's talk about having you come to visit. And
I will do that. Actually, I might plan my trip. You know, maybe closer to the NAMM show.
Sure.
So I can
January
be there for a while. Yeah. They trying to figure out to find me some birthday gigs where I can continue and celebrate my birthday, you know, because I had a record that I recorded, but it didn't really, it was not promoted very well. So I'm still gonna do that. And,
Okay,
hopefully I'll end up in San Diego.
that would be amazing.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you
Chris.
so much.
Thank
Yes,
you,
it's
man.
great
Thank you.
to chat with you. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk real soon. Okay.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Peace.
Players Pick Podcast, Picks and Perspective with Chrys Johnson.
This episode of Players Pick Podcast is brought to you in part by our good friends at Jim Dunlop Guitar Products, Kiesel Custom Guitars, Roswell Pro Audio and Microphones, Happy Cable Company, Copper Sound Pedals, and our favorite coffee company, Road Roaster Coffee. Go to roadroastercoffee.com and use coupon code PLAYERSPICK to receive 15% off all orders, ongoing, forever. Well, isn't that nice?